McLaren has positioned itself as the team to beat in 2025 according to the pre-season testing. However, it does look like there is some internal drama going on that we couldn't have anticipated in years to come. According to F1 insiders, the Woking-based squad might think twice before moving on with Piastri as their long-term driver, and if the season rolls out to be in Norris's favour, then the argument of replacing a competitive driver next to a championship-winning one would be more than solidified for McLaren. But are they really going to replace Oscar after the brilliance he's shown in the first couple of years? And if so, what does the future hold for the second driver's seat spot in McLaren? One of the most controversial topics in 2025 is definitely the future of Piastri, as a bombshell from the F1 world emerged that McLaren might not be fully happy with his services and his actions on and off the track. Of course, nothing has been said and confirmed, and neither should it be as we head into the most competitive season in quite some time, but there are certain elements that you can't just turn a blind eye to when it comes to Piastri's future in McLaren. For starters, the team has two alpha male drivers, and whether or not it sounds like a far-fetched scenario because they haven't actually won anything yet, and 2025 could turn out to be a failure of a season as well, it is the reality of their characters. Neither Oscar nor Lando would yield down in a fight, and if the MCL 39 is as strong as Norris's lap times have shown in Bahrain, then we should be expecting Piastri to be very close behind him. Yep, there are certain areas that Piastri needs to improve, such as the one-lap performance, which would give him a much better starting position at the race, and that is much easier said than done when you have the duo of Ferrari, Verstappen and Norris competing against you. In the very near future, there could be intra-team battles between Piastri and Norris that would escalate to a point of no return, and this is when the team would have to pull the trigger on at least one of them. And the argument is that Norris has been in the team for a longer period of time, helped them become what they are today, and although he failed to compete for the championship last year, that doesn't necessarily make him a bad competitor in general. We've seen some amazing races from the Brit, and his statements are quite clear. I'm taking my elbows out and I'm not making any friends on the track, regardless of the team that the driver is in. There have been talks with Piastri's manager, Mark Webber, during the pre-race testing, and it seemed like the compatriot of Oscar has been quite worried when it comes to his future in McLaren. As I mentioned above, an area that is reportedly being discussed very heavily in McLaren is the qualifying stat, which in 2024 was 20-4 in Norris's favour. True, the potential is still there, and the fact that Oscar won a couple of races goes to show that he can recover pretty nicely from races, and that he is not outperforming his teammate based on a one-lap basis. However, the numbers don't lie, and according to the former F1 driver Robert Dornbos, who had talks with Mark Webber, there is a lot to worry about in the following period. Elaborating further on this, Dornbos said, "We have heard that the pressure is on. McLaren was not too happy with Oscar. He lost 20-4 to Norris in qualifying. The young super talent needs to show why he has been given the opportunity at McLaren. Mark said not to put on a mask, he should just be himself. He is just a bit more reserved." And of course, McLaren knew exactly what they were doing when they signed a young driver next to Norris, focusing on the team's maximum performance in the Constructors' Championship and winning a title after a long and dry period that haunted the Woking-based squad. However, that doesn't come without its own sequences, and for starters, Piastri is not looking to be the second fiddle in any team whatsoever after showing that much of potential in just 2 years. And if you were to ask him, then there is no doubt that the self-confidence he has is through the roof. Addressing the talk and fighting in the Drivers' Championship, Piastri said, "It's definitely a clean slate this year. Everyone is starting on zero again, and I think last season towards the end it was natural that I still had the opportunities to go out and put my best foot forward. Yes, there were a couple of situations where I ended up helping Lando, but there were some ways he still helped me out, so it wasn't as clear cut as that. But definitely we are starting on a clean slate, and I do think I can become world champion this year. I am confident. I think we've still got some things to work on, and we are definitely not the finished product, but I don't think anyone necessarily is, and I think if we can work on some of the things that we've set out to do in this off-season, then I'll have a lot of tools to be able to try to make that happen." This is definitely the most positive sign that you could hear from a top team's driver ahead of the season, and while pre-season testing has revealed a sneak peek of what the season will look like, there is always the benefit of the doubt that other teams were saving their best for when it matters the most. Australia, 16th of March. But the same can be said for McLaren, who now have two sharp-edged drivers who won't give up if the wheel-to-wheel combats come alive like they did last year in Monza. Although Lando was criticised for not defending strongly enough and the team not reassessing the order like they did in Hungary when they messed up their own tactics, 2025 is going to be a different season for the Brit as well. Yes, he does view Verstappen as his biggest challenge, and he did say that age is just a number for Lewis, but what he must not forget is that the driver sitting next to him in the garage might be the biggest threat to the first championship of Lando ever. When talking about the competitiveness in 2025, Norris has been buoyant about his chances of becoming a world champion and being far more aggressive driver than he was until now, which is precisely what he needs if he wants to see himself winning the title. Elaborating further on this, Norris said, "The relationship between me and Max is fine. I think we both look forward to more of last year, more battles. I don't think it's going to be just us. I think there's going to be others involved, which will make it more exciting for everyone. I know they are going to be tough battles, and I'm sure some of them are not always going to end the way I or Max wants, but we are racing drivers. I think we get along." Again, the issue here is that the expectations for Ferrari have been set quite high, with Hamilton arriving and with the team slowly but surely catching up to Verstappen. However, if we were to draw anything out of the pre-season test, it's that their car is not where they want it to be precisely. The feelings of the Ferrari drivers are mixed, and I'm mentioning this because it's very important for Piastri to use the situation in Maranello as fuel going forward and prove that he can be the next world champion. The experience is on Lando's side, but while we're talking about it, there is no doubt that Piastri will be here to constantly put the pressure on his teammate, which begs another question. How will McLaren deal with this situation in their internal circles? Obviously, they didn't do a very good job last year, which is why, more often than not, they were the laughing stock of the sport, but winning the championship has definitely put a target on the team's back. The question is whether there would be a certain competitor that could catch up with the rapid pace that the MCL 39 has developed. Not only that, but Norris's feeling with the car was quite confident, to say the least, as the Brit left nothing to the imagination of the fans when elaborating as to how the car felt throughout the 3 days in Bahrain. This could pose a further problem for Piastri, and when talking about it, Norris said, "The car feels similar to last year's one, which is a good start. That is where we wanted to start. Nothing has been majorly addressed. We've tried to make the car quick all round and add more load, a simple way of looking at it honestly. We still want to try and focus on some areas more than others. We've struggled a lot with the rear that we would have liked over yesterday and today, but it's still early days." With all this in mind, do you think that Piastri should be worried about his future in McLaren? And if so, who do you think the team will pick as his replacement, given the fact that they have some very rich choices to choose from in their academy? Let us know in the comments below, and if you want to know more about the investigation that the FIA launched regarding the exploiting of the Mini DRS concept in 2025, make sure to check out the video that appears on your screen right now.